But yeah, moving on. So our next topic for today is something that's a bit different, a bit interesting. So movie games. So movie games have always been a bit of like a sore topic. Sometimes people hate them and they think they're rubbish. Sometimes people love them. I think it's a really mixed bag whether you get a good movie game or not. And before we go there, I think movies are a great universe and a great thing to be able to adapt into games, almost like books. And there's recently comments from Peter Levin. So he works for Lionsgate, and he is the head of interactive ventures and games there. And he's trying to say now that the attitude that movie studios have to games is becoming a lot more different than what they were traditionally. So what Peter says is that he says the fundamental driver is that the economics can no longer be ignored. The interactive business at Warner Brothers did something like $1.5 billion in revenue last year. But the other dynamics that are happening, with the state of the games business, you have a type of engagement that you haven't seen before, whether that's free-to-play, mobile, social, tablet, DLC, licensed properties. There's sustainable long-term products that live on multiple platforms in multiple environments that didn't exist before. If you look at some of the top gaming properties that are out now, and even just entertainment properties, Grand Theft Auto and the last Grand Theft Auto game is actually the best, the property in any entertainment industry across all films that has made the most money. It's the only thing to ever make 1 billion, gross 1 billion, I should say, in 3 days, which is absolutely insane. It's the highest. It's basically, I think it broke 7 world records with all that when Grand Theft Auto came out. I'll go through them quickly. So it's the best-selling action-adventure game, best-selling video game in 24 hours, fastest-selling entertainment property, fastest video game to gross 1 billion, highest-grossing video game in 24 hours, highest revenue generated by any entertainment product in 24 hours, and the most viewed trailer for any action-adventure game before. So I guess sort of bringing it back a bit to movie games. So Jack, sort of, what's your experience been with sort of movie games in the past? Do you play Spider-Man 2? That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge comics fan. So if we're counting comic adaptions, I've played almost all of them, and Spider-Man 2 was really good. There's not been a good Spider-Man game since, and I've bought almost all of them on sale, but it still felt horrible. Like the Amazing Spider-Man tie-in was just basically Activision got their formula and put a Spider-Man suit on it and just farted that out, and the boss battles were essentially boiled down to quick time events. It all felt very cartoony.
What's the Activision formula?
Yeah, well, and I think the problem is that recently there's been no drive for movie tie-in games. When I was a kid, I remember the Phantom Menace game. I really enjoyed that. GoldenEye, that is, yeah, like an incredible game. And the Arkham games, if you class them as a movie tie-in, those games captured what was cool about the film and let you play through that. So Phantom Menace, what was cool about the film? Jumping around and lightsabers and being with Qui-Gon Jinn. Did that in the game. In GoldenEye, what was cool about that is the way he ran through all these levels with his cool silenced pistol, and it's really fast shooting. And the Arkham games, what's cool about the films is watching Batman beat the shit out of people, and in the games you beat the shit out of people. But then you get these games like King Kong, which are just, you can tell they were just rushed out to make a bit of extra money. There's no love or care given to the game. It's just rehashing the experience. That's the biggest problem, is when it just rehashes the film. Like the Mad Max game, I thought, while it wasn't as good as a game as I was hoping, the fact that it tied in as a prequel to the film added some depth to it and made it interesting to me as a fan of the universe.
Yeah, the Mad Max game was good. I think independently, I quite enjoyed the Mad. I don't know if I'd enjoy it without the film, but it was definitely it was a good game. With King Kong as well, I see what you mean. Did you see the new Godzilla game that came out as well this year on PlayStation? And it had graphics that was on a fucking PS2. It was a massive pile of shit. But and as well, I think, so Rob, have you played, what are your favourite movie games? Do you think that anything's changing or anything will change because there's all of a sudden lots of new platforms? Or, you see, I'm a bit cynical to the point where they're saying, oh look, there's all these different ways people are making money, so we should probably get involved in that more.
I've never really enjoyed a movie game.
Never enjoyed a movie game?
From what Jack was saying about Spider-Man and stuff, I don't care much for comic characters or heroes in that way. I think that type of game might have been helped along by the fact that it had recognizable characters that people love. I think the mechanics of Spider-Man games are a little bit loose, and I remember playing them back on the GameCube, I think maybe, and it was just different versions of punch, punch, kick, kick, punch, punch. And it was very sort of, everything was 3-button combos and very easy sort of games, which are not my cup of tea, but the people that really enjoyed them were the people like Jaxis, who really follow the whole Spider-Man lore, know all of the backstory, love the characters and things like that. So I think in those situations they help sell the game. Then the other ones, like you said, like King Kong, which are just fundamentally terrible. I played Scarface, which was just so flawed. It was a horrible game, because publishers like that then claimed that the game's lacking things that the gamers expect because they're trying to keep it more realistic to the film world. It's like, that's great, but it's not a film. I want to play a game, and you've taken out the game mechanics, so just make another film. Batman, again, maybe really good, not my cup of tea, so I can't really say on that. But yeah, I've never.
You hate all games, Rob.
I love games. I do. I honestly do. But yeah, just not those. I've just never found a movie game that I enjoy, unfortunately. They're two completely different mediums. Films have got very strong structured stories, things you constantly have to focus on because they are the focal point of that film and they have a lot of meaning hidden behind them. Games, very interactable, hopefully driven by the player a lot more. They're just mediums that need to stop trying to compare themselves to each other and just get on with what they did both do best, I would say, personally.
I'd agree with that, but to the point that I'd say that I think there can be sort of a bit of a Venn diagram with it. I think that you get these maybe films but don't work. Games don't really work as films usually. But I think a lot of films work as games. I think Star Wars have had good games and The Matrix has had bad games, and it all comes down to, are you providing an experience that only gaming can provide that fits the universe? And
Enter the Matrix, that was like a really good game. I enjoyed Enter the Matrix.
I don't know if the Force Unleashed games were good. I enjoyed those. That was quite a satisfying sort of mechanic that game had. But I don't know if that ties in enough to count.
Well,
I think saying that stories and games films and games are different as a medium, is quite interesting. I think it really shows potentially to the lack of creativity, arguably, in like the games industry now. So, games mostly sort of have a linear story where you sit and watch cutscenes, and the action and what happens is mainly dictated, unless it's like The Witcher 3 or something with decisions, the action is mainly dictated by like what the plot wants you to go through. And I think, as well as the criticism of films, I think it's a fairly big criticism of games to say, like, nowadays, why aren't developers making stuff that involves a player and more? I mean, they're trying to make more decisions, but eventually, what people are making is still just sort of interactive films, which is, isn't arguably like putting to work what games can do best, which is making you the center of attention. And maybe, that's what we've got to look forward to. So with virtual reality now coming out, we've got people that are going to hopefully take the perspective of the player, and people are going to interact and talk to you with. And this new level of game design that's coming out could hopefully benefit everything across everything. I think because it should be you deciding how a story goes and what it does, and it's something we're really lacking at the moment in most modern games, I think.
When you mentioned VR just sent him, that was something I found worrying reading the article from the guy, the film producer who wants to get into games because that is where he sees money now. That is the worst possible way forward, is to try and make a kind of film-related experience in VR. Because films, like I've said already, everything is structured. They make sure you're focusing on the bit of the screen they want you to focus on, so you see what they want you to see at that specific moment.
Yeah.
When you're in a 360 world and you can look at whatever you want whenever you want, you're going to miss everything they want you to watch, which means you're not going to get the point of their story, you're not going to get the bits that they value and think you'll value the most. I watched that trailer from Unreal, the Bullet Frenzy thing that they released, which is a really good trailer for VR, but that literally happened to me. I was watching, trying to see where everything was flying. There were cans going around me. There was buildings being just blown to pieces. And everyone was waiting for me to see the end bit, which was some epic robot about to fire in my face. But I just got focused on this can to the side of me. So when this funny thing was meant to happen at the end, I was watching a can, and everyone was like, "Oh, what do you think?" I didn't see that there was a can rolling down the street with really good physics that I was focused on. Sorry. So I'll watch it again. But you kind of miss the bits which are sort of set up, and you can possibly not see them now. So, and I look like I'm in heaven.
I think when we talk about VR, we should put on the VR headset hats.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's like it's another part of design, isn't it? So yeah, you can't make someone you've got a headset on, you can't make someone look in a specific place. You can't make them, look where they want you to, and that's again another creative decision. It's like before we said about sort of games aren't necessarily doing what games do best. It's the same with VR now, which is coming out, where people don't really know still how to make VR stuff properly, and it's it's always evolving. It's there's a lot of I've been quite a bit of a criticism of like the games industry and what everything's doing now. Maybe we can all be far more creative and do far more interesting things, and people just aren't pushing out the boat with it. We need more money. We need lots of money, and
you can take the Alien franchise as a good comparison itself. You've got AVP, which came out, or Aliens, Colonial Marines, either way. Rushed, terrible, looks bad, felt bad. Waste of money, completely just ripping off people like me who love the Alien franchise and will pay for anything for it. And then Alien Isolation came out, and that took the feeling of the first film and just created a game experience around it. Sneaking around this sci-fi place, cold, metal, dark hallways, the sounds of the alien chasing you, and you really feel like the prey, that kind of Amnesia style. And there you can see on Alien Isolation, they took the core experience of the film and used the game medium to introduce that to gamers. Whereas AVP, Aliens Colonial Marines, took the film looks and brands and just whacked it on a shitty FPS.
Yeah, we're definitely moving in the right direction. I guess with time, we'll only hopefully see stuff get better and stuff get a bit different as well. The chat seems quite interesting about this. So what have we got? Yeah.
And people were mentioning 360 YouTube videos and how, and also about Harry Potter memories, sort of going through that. And I think that could be quite cool if you had a small scene that had, like, because you said you focused on that can. Well, what if that can was part of the narrative? What if every little part of the scene was something else, and you could, go through it over and over again, and a kind of Mass Effect playthrough. Oh, what's it gonna be next time? Sort of thing could be quite cool, maybe.
Yeah, no, it is down to the developers and how they sort of make you concentrate your focus. But there's only so much you can do. I mean, the big mech robot thing I was meant to be looking at was directly in front of me for the whole video, so it's quite clear that that's what they wanted me to see at some point. But still, I was one of the viewers, maybe one of the few, I don't know, but one of the viewers that did get taken away by the can, which is the wrong thing to be taken away by.
Yeah.
I just think that might happen a lot, regardless of how good the developer is and how much time they put into trying to direct you. It's just adds a whole new dimension for things to go wrong and to get missed and to get overlooked.
I don't think in VR you can direct anyone really, because the idea of having a headset and being able to look where you want is the fact that you can look anywhere, and when you start forcing people to look in certain positions, you get rid of that thing. The one way that sort of we know how you can get around making people look in certain ways is using something called gaze cues, where you basically, where you're looking, you make action happen. But again, that involves like potentially someone looking in a specific point for a specific amount of time, which you still can't do again. And creatively, you can have different portions of the map that start doing stuff, but to get all that in sync and to keep that making sense no matter where you're looking is quite interesting. And that's still a creative challenge that like all developers and all game developers now, everyone making VR content is still trying to get through. And we're definitely not there yet. I don't know if we'll be able to work out how on this podcast. Maybe sometime. But
I think we're halfway there, boys.
Yeah, by the end of it.
We should become the Games Industry Council, and we can just comment on everything. And
I mean, if anyone's hiring, I'm right here. So.